Okay.
Okay, this is 411 yards, guys. Actually, I'm gonna raise my...
Hit.
Nice, that's 411 yards to the plate up there. How's it going, guys? Wanted to do a video just to talk a little bit about some of the philosophy behind why I built an SPR. The main reason why I started building this rifle in the first place was just for fun. I thought it would be just kind of fun to just tinker with an AR platform, just to kind of build something out. When I started building this, it was getting close to the election, and ammo was becoming very hard to find, and prices were a tad bit elevated at that point in time. That was before Sandy Hook and before some of these other things, and so this was back when you could actually find ammo. But it was a lot more expensive to shoot long range, and I was shooting a lot of 308. That's my main long range gun. That's my elk gun. That's what I hunt with, and it was just kind of pricey per round. Even reloading, it was still pricey per round to do it. And so I decided I wanted to build something that would be a little bit more cost effective, which led me to the SPR. The 223 round, it cost me roughly half as much to load 223 than it does a 308 cartridge. Also, when you're shooting long range, you expend less ammunition. Most of the time when people are running drills at close quarter combat type drills, things like that, they're shooting through a lot of ammo. But when you shoot long range, you have a tendency to shoot by far less, and mainly because you're concentrating. You press the trigger, you squeeze off a round, and then you dope your shot, do your calculations and your corrections, and you fire again. It's not something you're going through hundreds of rounds per outing. So it's a lot more effective cost-wise, and you just expend less ammunition. Even though you're spending less ammunition, it's just as exciting. In fact, long-range shooting is very addicting. Being able to squeeze off a round and predictively hit your target at a long range is just a thrill. It's where science meets magic, is what I say. And so long range is really fun. The ammo that I have been reloading for this gun is the 69 grain Sierra Match King. We are running a CCI primer inside right now PMC brass. The 69 grain Sierra Match King with 25.5 grains of Varget. That's pushing this round out to be about 2750 feet per second out of the 16-inch barrel, which to me is more than enough to achieve the distances that I want. Before you see a couple examples of some groups, we have a 0.87 inch group, and then we have a 0.511 group. The average I've seen is about 3/4 of a minute. That's about what I've been seeing out of this gun. More often than not, it's about a half-minute group with this particular barrel and setup. One of the other reasons why I decided to build an SPR and why it makes sense for me is that in my state of Utah, there is just about every kind of terrain. We have forest, we also have desert, and we have just about everything in between. But where I spend a lot of time is in the high desert, or the west desert, and we have a lot of open terrain. And so to have the ability to shoot to medium to longer ranges effectively and efficiently makes a lot of sense. Also, this gun also falls into a hunting category for me. In the state of Utah, each coyote that you bag gets you $50 from the Department of Natural Resources. And so all you need is a pair of ears and a GPS coordinates as to where it was taken, and they cut you a check for $50, which is a killer deal. And there's a lot of people making a lot of money on coyotes. So this has a lot of hunting application with it as well. And that's one role that this gun definitely is going to be placed in. The other thing about an SPR is that an SPR is a very versatile weapon. It can be utilized in a close quarter combat role, but it can also be used as a designated marksman rifle. The reason why I went with the Vortex scope was because of its magnification range. This one goes back to 2.5 times magnification, which is less than a lot of the Trigicon ACOGs that are being used and called as a CQB weapon. Being able to dial back to 2.5 times magnification gives you the ability to place it in a semi-quick close quarter combat role. But having the ability to also ramp it up to 10 power, we can shoot out to medium ranges very effectively and very efficiently. The 223 really isn't the most effective long-range round. Most people that have done a lot of long-range shooting know that the wind is the biggest factor in whether or not you're going to hit your target. And so being that it's a very, very light bullet, the wind has a lot more of an effect on the 223 than it does on, say, like a 30 cal round. And so it is a bit harder to shoot longer range. So will this round carry out to 1,000 yards? Yeah. My hand load will remain supersonic out to 1,000 yards and has as much energy as a full-powered 22 long rifle out of a rifle barrel. So it's definitely lethal, definitely still going to plink still at 1,000 yards. It's just whether or not you can handle and predict the wind out to that range. So what I mean by medium range is less than 1,000 yards. Although more realistically, it's probably between 500 and 800 yards is really where this round is going to be the most effective. This isn't something that I would consider to be the best urban defense weapon, but when it comes to open terrain and rural areas, you're hard to beat something like this setup. This particular AR-15 is a Bushmaster. It has a chrome-lined 16-inch barrel. And now this is where a lot of people kind of slap their foreheads thinking, why would you put or try to make an SPR out of a chrome-lined 16-inch barrel? The reason why I like chrome lining is for the overall durability. I'm not sure exactly what the round counts are, but I know that in a non-chrome lined barrel, you're going to wear out about 10,000 rounds sooner than a chrome lined barrel-ish. I like having that overall durability. Also, things to consider with a chrome lined barrel is that it's going to be resistant to rust and weather and a whole lot more abuse than a non-chrome lined barrel. That, to me, was a necessity, all right? I wanted to have a chrome lined barrel in my AR-15. What I was really fearful of was that this gun was not going to be accurate, and that's definitely proven not to be the case. The 16-inch barrel is definitely not the most effective barrel length for velocities, so when you do shoot at long range, you want to have quite a bit more velocity, because with more velocity means less hang time. Less time the bullet is in the air, which means less time for the wind to have effect on it. My rounds, when I hand load, I'm getting about 2750 feet per second out of it, which to me is just fine, especially for a 69 grain bullet. This gun has the H-bar, the heavy barrel on it, and so that makes it a lot more stable harmonically, and does, I think, afford a little bit more accuracy. This gun surprised the heck out of me when it came to accuracy. You can see a couple groups here, the .87 inch and the .51 .51 group. Here's another target. Here's a PMC group at 1.61 inches. Here's a PMC group. Look at that, 0.36 inches. Here's my Sierra Match King load, 0.75. Here's a group right here of the 50 grain varmint tipped American Eagle rounds. That's 1.12. Here's another one of those, 1.16. I didn't shoot these well. These are usually right around 0.7 inch group. Here's one, here, look at these guys. M193s, Federals, 0.46, 0.62. I know, crazy, huh? And here's another Sierra Match King, this is 0.92. Let's roll in another couple targets here so you guys can get some another little data point. This is with PMC here in the middle. That's a PMC group. That's probably 2 inches. Here's one 1.2 with an M193. Here's another M193. This is .925. That's sub-minute groups, guys, with military ammo. Look at this one. This is that American Eagle 50 grain varmint tip. It's actually just a VMAX that has a gray tip is all. .791. That's about a typical group that I get with that ammo at 100 yards. .786 with PMC. Look at that, a phenomenal group, and that is shooting 10 power as well. Let's come out here. Here's another one. This is the Sierra Match King .581. This is when I was doing load testing. This was just a rapid fire group with the PMC at 100 yards. It was like so it wasn't slow. That was a pretty fast fire. These are just test loadings, test load groups that I was shooting. Here's what this American Eagle. Okay, this is the varmint tip. Let me grab a box of that so you guys can see what it is. All right, here's a box of what this is. This is the 223 varmint tipped American Eagle. This runs at about, I think, $11 or $12 at Walmart a box. This is fantastic stuff. It's a 50 grain VMAX, but it's got a gray tip. It's got a gray tip rather than the typical red tip that the VMAX has, or orange tip, or whatever it is. But this ammo here's a target that's just specifically this ammo: .99, .61, .87. .092, .795. Look at that, guys. That's all sub-minute groups with this ammo out of this gun. Fantastic ammo. That's why I bought this stuff, was I wanted to test and see how effective it was. The only downside to this ammo is that 50 grain VMAX really drags a lot. And so I'm losing a lot of velocity over distance, and it's not hitting hard at all past 400 yards. So that's why I'm not going with this, and I'm going with the 69 grain Sierra Match Kings, is because this hits with more than double the energy out to 400 yards, for sure. So the accuracy of this gun surprised the heck out of me. And when I first started building it, I hadn't had a scope on it. So I was actually crossing my fingers and hoping that this gun would be accurate. And what my expectations for this gun was to shoot one MOA. If I could get one MOA out of this gun, I would have been ecstatic. But the fact of the matter is that I'm shooting between half and three-quarter MOA is fantastic. I'm just super, super, super happy with it. And I would never have guessed that I would have got that out of a standard stock Bushmaster. These groups that I've shot as well is with the stock trigger. That is not a match trigger at all. In fact, it's a horrible trigger. People that have shot it already have said the same thing. It really is a bad mil-spec trigger. I'm being pretty diligent on these trigger pulls with these groups, so I don't really expect them to improve a heck of a lot, but I am expecting it to get easier to shoot the same kind of groups. One of the biggest downsides to this rifle here is the fact that it is super heavy. We have the bull barrel, essentially. We have a 2-pound scope with probably a half-pound mount on it. And it is heavy, and it's not something that you're going to easily shoulder fire. You're not going to be shooting really long range with it at all from the shoulder. You can still CQB it with a 2.5 power on it, but it's not going to be something you're going to be hefting for a really long time. You're going to be shooting this gun mainly from either shooting sticks, a platform, or off the bipod. That's essentially how you're going to be shooting this gun. Anyway, guys, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them down below. If you like what you're seeing, go ahead and hit the like button. Please share this video with your friends. It does help the video out, and it does help the channel grow, and I really appreciate it. And as always, guys, thanks very, very much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. See ya.